And it was like, you can't be wishy-washy and expect totally different results. At some point, you reap what you sow. So if you're kind of half-assing it, hello, everybody. Welcome on back to the Taylor Nardone Podcast. Happy to have you guys here. And I'm actually coming to you today fresh off a run. This is our attire. This is what we're going to wear. Because, I feel like it's a good time for me to film this episode coming off that run. And this is a little bit of a different one. You guys know on this page and on my podcast, so much of my messaging it's designed to help you let go from the place of letting go. That's what I was trying to say. From the place of letting go and letting God cook. But this episode is going to balance us out. Because I want to be very clear, I have worked, now if you guys don't know, I'm a life and breakthrough coach, right? And so being in the personal development space, which by the way, I have some things to say about that in a second here, but being in the personal development space, I work with a lot of different folks. And I find that most people come to me looking for less of a push and more so, how do I learn to release? Because I've been on this hamster wheel and I'm not really getting the results that I need internally and externally, or the external's looking good, but internally I'm crumbling. Here's the thing. You guys know it's all about balance. It has to be. I remember when I first had my, big awakening and I left my job. I don't know why I'm saying it like that, but a few years back, that's how my journey began and, kind of jumped into the unknown. It was like I was running probably 80% in just this hustle. That final year that I was teaching, getting my master's, working at the restaurant, doing all these things, that I had completely burnt myself out. And it was like an entire total reset was needed. Now, granted, God also had some pretty cool plans for me. For all the plans I have for you. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you, but to give you hope in a future. But at the time, it presented itself like, wow, this is it, Tay. Like you've got nothing in the tank right now. And you have to learn what it means to allow yourself to be carried a bit more within this experience and by God's hand, right? And so what's interesting is from the beginning of my journey, that's what I feel like I'm doing. And I think, maybe when you guys listen to these videos or these podcasts, hopefully it's balancing you out in a different way. And, for me personally, I always go and look for what I need in that moment. Do I need a little more of a push? Do I need a little bit more of a pullback, right? That's the type of content that I listen to, within this field. So I want this to be an episode that you guys can come back to, in the future when you need some motivation and some more inspiration. I'm always here to inspire, but today is going to be different because we're not actually going to be talking about the allowance part of it as much. We're actually going to be talking about the doing part. And I titled this the way I titled it, not from a prophetic or like a psychic perspective at all. That's not me. But just to hopefully hit a spot within you. If there is something, and use your discernment always, but if there's something within you right now that is saying, I know what I'm supposed to be doing, but will I actually do it? And here's the thing. We make a lot of excuses. And it's typically until we get sick of our own shit, until we get sick of it, will we make a change, right? We're not going to make a change until we are fully sick of what's going on. And I think, unfortunately, I think this concept goes for many things in life. We want to know all things before we start something, right? It's always hindsight's 20/20. Well, you wish you had that before you started, but that's part of life. You have to go through it. So if you're at the place right now where you're banging your head against the wall, okay, stop banging your head. Take a damn hammer. Let's take a hammer to the wall. Let's go. What do we need to do, right? And, for me personally, this is hitting this week, and I wanted to share this with you because I'm experiencing this a bit in my own life as well. So I figured I would speak to it because I know it's going to resonate for somebody out there. But there's a time to allow, and then there's a time to move, right? So I always say when it comes to I like to use the cake example, right? God's not dropping off a perfectly crafted cake onto your door. It's all of the perfect ingredients and the conditions needed to bake that cake exactly as it's been designed to. So when you have the ingredients, okay, it's time to get a move on. But some things can only be revealed after we take some action. So I want you to reflect right now. Is there something you need to be doing that you're choosing not to do? And will it simply be easier in the long term if you do that now? This is where we get into the conversation of short-term discomfort versus long-term comfort, or the opposite, short-term comfort, long-term discomfort. And I always say, I believe God's playing the long-term game with us, not the short-term. Don't judge somebody. God's playing the long term, not the short term. You never know where somebody is, okay? Stop judging. But when you think about that, you know, for even when I look back at the last couple of years of my life, and I've talked to folks in the same space, For example, with my health journey, right? So I've been working out for about 1.5 years now, 6 days a week, and I love it. I actually find it very interesting that physically, not a lot has changed. Things have changed, yes, but not as much as one would expect if you were to go 150% in that direction, because there were still things that God was ironing out for me. And I've done the yo-yo, I've done the up and down, and this time it's like, no, let's do it the right way. Let's build the foundation. So I've been working out for 1.5 years now on this entire journey, fitness and all included, probably about 3 years. And I'm really now starting to see things kick up. But things take time, but it's consistency. And it's choosing to be consistent even when you don't want to. So we have to be careful. The flow is absolutely integral and key because there's only so much that you can control. And being in balance is key because sustainable success, shout out to one of my clients, Robin, who mentioned that on a live this week, sustainable success is imperative. So I want to encourage you to play the long-term game with yourself. If there's a goal, what is the goal? If there's not, and you're feeling a little bit lost, book a one-on-one, book a discovery call. Let's sit down. Let's see if we can clarify this for you. Let's get a breakthrough on the direction that you're headed right now. But let's say you have some of that clarity. Well, go off and take that first step. I was talking about taking that first step. Don't stop on the first. Then identify what the next step is. And be honest with yourself. We have an internal compass, right? Ask for that clarity, pray upon it, meditate upon it, ask for that clarity, but follow that compass and that guide. So this is really for the person right now that's going, yeah, I kind of know what I have to, no more excuses. Go do it. Do it. Just get it done. If it can get done today, why wait until tomorrow? And again, I want to be clear. I am not work 18 hours a day and blah, blah, blah. No, I'll never tell you to do that because that's not sustainable. That's not sustainable. But what I am an advocate for and what I'm very passionate about in this field, I got to tell you guys, God was birthing a real conviction in me this week about what I do and why I do it. It was a whole thing. But, as a life coach, being in the personal development space, I've had people say to me, they're like, I don't really meet people that really do what you do. And I was like, that's interesting. What do you mean by that? Because I don't want to be 100% honest. I don't really look at other coaches, right? I kind of am just in my own lane because I believe we each are a vessel for a certain group of people, right? And they said, well, you kind of blend the faith component with that. I said, that's so interesting. I said, you know why I'm so passionate about personal development? That's how God actually reached me. And when you start to lift your head above the chaos and you start to do this mindset work, you start to learn about that resilience, you start to lift yourself up, identify who you truly are and walk in that posture of victory, you start to see the light. And then on top of that, every time that I've gone into a new chapter or there's been something that God is pushing me into, a coach has dropped in. I love it. I'm like, get me around the people that are where I'm headed to. Yes. I believe we're all here to guide and mentor people. So that's why I love what I do. And I'm very passionate about it. And there were so many different things that were being birthed in there. But anyways, so this is the, I always joke when I have my David Goggins moment, it's like the hustle to push. But I want to encourage you to go do it. Whatever it is, go get it done and be honest with yourself and do it because you know it's the right thing to do and trust the fact that there's a long-term benefit here. I heard something the other day as well. I thought this was wonderful. And it was like, you can't be wishy-washy and expect totally different results. At some point, you reap what you sow. So if you're kind of half-assing it, the result's going to be half-assed. We could try and convince ourselves otherwise. You'll probably get half-assed results. Go in and do it. And what does it look like to go all in and have that be sustainable for you? If you haven't done the internal work to be able to acclimate and sustain that, you go back to where you started, maybe a bump up. I want to get you to the next sustainable platform. That's the goal. And once you're there, the next step will be presented. This isn't about sprinting as far as we can. It's a marathon. Do you want to complete the marathon or do you want to try and sprint and convince yourself you got it today? Okay, today's day one. I'm just going to go do it all. And then you pass out on mile 5. Sustainable. Ask yourself what the long-term game is. Ask yourself if you're in line with that right now. Genuinely, what's on your heart? Ask for that guidance. Pray, meditate upon it. Okay? What is that next step for you? And what do you need support in right now? And this is where you reach out. Book a discovery call. Book a one-on-one. Let's get it started. What do you need support in right now? And it's okay to ask for that. Like I said, I believe we're all dominoes on each other's journey. We're just helping each other go through. And I think that that's incredible. That's one of the best parts about this. I will tell you, years ago, I have always seen myself fit, running, just doing all these things. And when I tell you, asking it is given, but not in the way that we think. It's like, okay, you want to do that. Well, let's do it the right way. Let's go into your psyche and start to dig up all of those things that are keeping you from doing that. Right now, this is kind of an odd example, but I'm being presented with the reassurance or the confirmation right now that this is about the long-term game. This is about the long-term game. God knows what you need. Okay. So play the long-term game, get in the pool and do it. Get in the arena. Do it. It's important. Love you guys. Thank you for tuning in today. This was a good episode, I think, right? Well, we'll talk very soon. Hope you guys enjoyed. And get outside. I don't know where you are. Hopefully the weather's okay. Get outside. Get some fresh air. We'll talk soon.